Okay, let's see if we can get my boy Brandon in here. Oh, there we go. Yes, sir. What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
Not much. How's it going?
It's cold out here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel
Uh, I would have turned this heater on, but I don't think you better hear me.
you. Yeah, I'm like right next to the air conditioning unit, and it's blasting heat, and it's just like the whole time. How cold is it up there?
I probably not too far off from where it is, where you're at.
Gosh,
Um, I mean, what is it like 19 degrees?
yeah, yeah, that sucks.
I thought I lost you for.
Yeah, Wi-Fi's been kind of spotty. All right, but I think we're good. What's up,
Okay.
everybody? All for joining in. My boy James is here. What's good? All right, well, let's get things started. So, I guess for everybody who doesn't really know you, you can introduce yourself. I guess like your name, what you do, how long you've been into lifting, like that kind of thing. Kind of fill everybody in.
My name's Brandon. I power lift. I met Alex on Instagram. I think it was Brandon Campbell's post. I think I asked something about like I was just starting out building my gym, and I asked you about was it you? Did I ask you or did I ask Brandon about like how do you keep the mats from like moving around or something on the gym floor?
Yeah, you commented on one of my like deadlifting posts, and you're like, "Oh, like what do you use to keep the stall mats from moving around?" And I told you about the Gorilla Tape, and then
Oh
that's when
yeah,
we
yeah,
started
yeah.
like messing
That's what
back
it
and
was.
forth.
Um, yeah, I've been lifting since uh maybe seventh grade, maybe. So it's been that was probably like 2007. So what's that end up being like 15 years? Um, now I've taken some time off here and there, but that's about how long I've been lifting. And then I probably got into powerlifting around like 2014. So I've been training for strength for about 8 years. Um, yeah, man, I'm from Maryland and we eat a lot of crabs.
Nice, very nice.
Yep.
So when you first started lifting, like were you kind of like everybody when they first started? You didn't really know what you were doing. You're just whatever, trying to get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, or like what kind of got you into it in the first place?
I played football, and I took strength and conditioning, BFS, and I was like 150 pounds, and I think the first time I got on the bench, it was like I pressed 150,
Mhm.
and my coach was like, "Man, that's pretty good. Like that's more than your body weight. Your first time ever hitting it." And I think after that, I was like, "Man, this is something I could be pretty good at."
Yeah,
Um, they hyped me up. They swelled my head up and stuff, and after that, it just became like a an addiction, I guess.
nice. That
Yeah,
is super dope. So,
but
what
sorry.
I guess we can kind of like get into more of like the competition style stuff. So, like, what are your competition style lifts? Like, so when I see you, like, obviously, whatever I see you pull sumo, blah blah blah. Like, did you always use that style of lifting, or like, how did you kind of figure out what leverages works best for you?
I used to pull conventional, and then kind of like the group at the time that got me into powerlifting. I used to train. I've always hit squat, bench, deadlift. But then I saw this group that went to the same gym as me, then, and they were like constantly getting stronger and stronger, right? I saw them pulling sumo, and I tried it out. I felt way stronger. I can pull more weight. I can keep my torso more upright, and I just kind of stuck with it. Conventional. sucks. I still do conventional time to time, and especially when I'm doing like RDLs.
Yeah.
I'm in a conventional stance, so every once in a while I'll throw them in, but pretty much as long as my hips are intact and in one piece, then I'm pulling sumo.
Nice. And then what about for like your bench or like your squat? Like so for me personally, I tend to have a slightly wider grip for my bench and I do flat feet with my feet in front of my legs. Some people like to tuck their feet under their butt. So what's your preferred like pressing pattern?
My feet are actually kind of further out from me. The only thing that I really pay attention to is whether or not my knee is below my hip. And it's something I kind of notice is that when I tuck like a lot of them guys do, I get my feet underneath me. My ass tends to come up off the bench.
Yeah.
So, and I learned that in my last competition, I missed my second attempt, and I had to retake it. And I put my feet out in front of me, and I was able to keep my butt down, still be able to get plenty of leg drive, and I just been rolling with that.
Nice.
You know,
Very nice.
yeah.
And then, what about your squat? Are you more of like a high bar or low bar person? Like, how does it feel comfortable for you?
I'm like a super low bar person to the point where my wrists are gonna snap off my back.
Yeah.
I mean, like I get it as low as I can get it. I mean, it's like it's not on my rear delts. It is like
Below them?
right below my rear delts.
Yeah.
And I mean, it feels comfortable to me like that. I mean, other guys they squat, they have a little bit higher bar placement, but high bar wrecks me, man.
Dude, me
For
too.
sure.
And it's strange, like, so what would you say your like build is? So for me personally, like my torso is pretty long, so high bar, like you're saying, completely just like plugs me and it sucks. But if I'm doing something like low bar, it feels better. So would you say you're more of like a long torso and then medium limb length person?
Something I learned recently that I never really paid attention to until we were all just like kind of playing around in the gym. I've got really long arms, and my torso to leg ratio, I'm like they're like the same size. I don't know. I'm a very strangely shaped person, but I don't particularly have long limbs or anything like that, except for my arms. I mean, my arms tend to be, or they are a little bit longer than
Gotcha.
most people. Like my rack height compared to like the most guys in the gym that are even taller than me, I got to go up higher. So, which helps with deadlift, but it sucks for bench. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I find that interesting though, because it's like if you have longer arms, like I feel like that would help like with your deadlift. But like from the numbers that I've seen, I feel you squat more than you squat more than you deadlift. So it's interesting, like based off of your build, like what your numbers are, you know?
yeah, I, a lot of people, they tend to focus on the limbs and, you got a long femur versus a short femur, long torso versus short torso. And when it comes down to it, I mean, it doesn't really matter because everyone's shaped, you can configure it any type of way.
Yeah.
So, just lift and do what works best for you.
So, all right. So then my next two questions are, first off, what are your best lifts? Because that's what everybody cares about, you know? I told everybody you have a 700-pound squat. That's absolutely nuts. What about your what about your deadlift and your bench?
So the most I've benched, like one rep, I hit 407 in competition. I think I've doubled 405 in the gym. And my deadlift, man, I think the most I've hit was I hit that 675 double the other day with straps. But without straps, the most I've ever hit was 660. I've never really pushed my deadlift like that except for in competition. I went for a 630, I don't know what it ended up being, like 630, or excuse me, 693 or something like that, and I ended up missing it. But deadlift has always been something that's been pretty inconsistent with me. Like some days I can come in and the weight's moving good and my technique is all there, and some days it's just like that's just the way sumo is in general. Like you can come in here and your technique is just like perfect that day. You can hit crazy weight, and then other days it doesn't. It's like it's glued to the floor, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I definitely feel you on that. Especially, so I would say for me personally, my squat is probably my weakest lift, and it's like
mm,
sometimes like you're saying, I could fit the bar perfectly on my back. Everything feels stacked very well, and then other days it feels like I have a car on my back, and it just sucks.
mm.
Um, yeah. So, how did you kind of find which forms like work best for you? Like, was it always based off of what moves best, or did you find like how it affects your recovery also helped you choose?
As far as like the squat or just
Just
in
in general.
general.
So, for example, like my current coach, he told me that he ended up switching to sumo because he found he could recover better throughout the week.
Hmm.
Because if he pulled conventional, his back would be too fried for the squats.
Dude, yeah, that's true. I mean, sumo wrecks my hips though, and like, um, I don't really pull a whole lot. On deadlift day, I might hit like I go up and hit like a top set, and then like maybe one or two back downs, um, and then that's it for like the entire week, just so that I can recover from it. I mean, in the past, I would deadlift every 2 weeks, and this coach I have now kind of like was like, no, that's not gonna fly with me, kind of like, you know. So, um, I don't know. I just, through time, I just figured out what I can recover from and what I can't, and it's not always the same. Like some weeks, I work construction, so um, some days I come home and I'm exhausted, and you know, that workout, I'm not recovered from the work day, you know. So it's something that I struggle with a lot too. And I lift based off of RPE, so I can adjust my numbers based off of how I feel that day, and that's probably been the biggest factor in my recovery is
Nice.
switching from a percentage based program going to RPE.
Yeah, I feel like RPE is super helpful. Like I've never done construction, but like I used to work for like a moving company, and it's like you go to the warehouse, you're in there at 6 in the morning, and you're moving like fridges and couches and stuff like that all day. Then you finish your work day, and then you have like almost nothing left for the gym. And so it's like you're saying, like everything will either feel heavy, or you're not hydrated, or you didn't get enough sleep, or blah blah blah. So I'm a huge
Mm-hmm.
using that to kind of gauge like all the workouts. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Percentages, I kind of use it like where I think the number is going to be for the day. You know what I mean? So like, let's say if I'm doing like a set of 7 or something like that, I'll usually base it around like 70%, and then have it around there so I can kind of figure out like, okay, I think I can hit this today and blah, blah, blah. So when it comes to your like outside of like your competition style lifts, like are you a huge fan of like accommodating resistance? Like do you do speed work? Are you more like old school, or do you do more like new school stuff with like a whole bunch of different specialty bars?
I do utilize specialty bars. I'm almost always on a squat bar, um, which is a little thicker. Weighs a little bit more. I'm always on a deadlift bar because that's what I compete on. Um, Specialty bars. I mean, really the only out of the squat bar, the deadlift bar, and the power bar, the only ones I really use are the safety squat bar, which I don't really use that often unless I'm like feeling um like unless I'm feeling something in like in my shoulders or something, and I can't really get. I'm working with my buddy. He's a PT. He kind of helps me out here and there. So I kind of I'll use a safety squat bar for to work around injuries. Um, and then maybe the Yukon bar, which is kind of like the Duffalo bar sometimes. But I normally I stick with the straight bars. Um, my training is actually pretty simple. I don't do a whole lot of variations. It's it's the straight bar work, and then I have accessories.
Yeah, I hadn't really used like specialty bars until more recently. I kind of find that they're good, like you're saying, for not just managing injuries, but like instead of having like a singular stimulus that you're trying to work through, like let's say I use a straight bar or whatever for bench all the time, and I'm just using it. There's only so many variations you can do to hit your body in certain ways. So,
Mm-hmm.
and like I'm a big fan of the safety squat bar. I like what's it called? The Swiss bar or Swiss/American/football bars that have like the neutral grips. Those
Mm-hmm.
are cool.
Oh,
Um,
the press Smith. It
yeah,
has like multiple grips. Yeah, I
yeah,
got you.
exactly. Yeah. Those are awesome. The only thing is like sometimes they actually put a little more pressure on my shoulders just because of the range of motion, like bringing it like all the way down like that is a little tweaky. But I've never tried a Duffalo bar, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, no, we have a Yukon bar, and it's got like a really sharp curve to it. And when we first got it and we started lifting on it, I mean, that thing, it's almost like being on a safety squat bar to the point where if the weight's moving fast enough, it'll
yeah,
like it's got like a rubber band effect kind of.
yeah,
And we kind of learned how to which is, I guess, the good thing. We had to learn how to control it the whole way.
right.
And then when you get back on the straight bar, I mean, your shoulders feel refreshed and, you got a little bit more control over the weight.
Nice. So do you guys use bands and chains or not so much?
Very rarely. We have them. We use bands for mainly warming up. I mean, we got some guys that use them, but as far as my training goes, no.
Gotcha. So what are some of your go-to variations then? Like I know you said you mostly use like the straight bar, but like what are your go-to variations and which ones seem to help you the most? Because like your numbers are really impressive, you know what I mean? And like to get
Mhm.
there, I know you've had to spend a lot of time not just figuring out the form, but like what other exercises assist you and what actually works to build strength.
I think what contributed the most to progressing my numbers is keeping it simple. Sometimes, not everyone, but I think that a lot of times, like beginners will um, try to throw in too many variations too soon. And to this day, I've been powerlifting for a few years now, and I'm still keeping it simple. Now I do variations. I do close grip bench. I do variations that are very similar to the competition lift. So I don't typically pull off of blocks when I deadlift. I'll do like pause deadlifts. Um, I will periodically throw in a high bar squat and then a close grip bench, and I mean, as far as variations go, that's the most I do. Or I do some I do RDLs too. If but that's about it. I don't do the blocks, chains, rack pulls or anything like that. Front squat. I used to front squat like all the time. I cut that out a long time ago.
Yeah, I kind of want to get back into doing front squats. It's been like a couple years, maybe like 1 or 2 years since I did them. But I used to always I would have them as my secondary movement for deadlifts, and I definitely think it helps because like stabilizing the weight in front of you like that is super difficult.
Yeah, it takes a lot of strength. It was so important to me to get to like 405 front squat, and I never got it. I took them out before I even got it. I mean, because front squats would just wreck me, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I always wanted to get to a 3-plate front squat, and it's just like as soon as you unrack, I was like, "Oh, this is stupid heavy," and then just put it right back.
I didn't have the wrist mobility for it. Like I couldn't get my wrist back far enough,
Yeah,
and I would be doing like this thing, and then like I would put I seen somebody put like straps on the bar and like hold them as like handles and stuff. Um, a bunch of band-aid stuff, not really
yeah,
addressing the actual issue.
yeah. I tried doing the what's it called, like crossing your arms here, and like I just don't feel like I can get as like sturdy. Like I feel like
Mhm.
I feel really powerful if I use 3 fingers and roll it under this way because I feel like I
Yeah.
can drive up harder. Versus here, I don't feel tight or stacked at all.
Hmm.
I don't know how people do it. So we kind of touched on it, but like, how have you learned to manage like your fatigue, and your injuries over the years? And what seems like the best balance for your training? So I guess we could start with how you manage, and then I guess like what your current training split is and how that helps you like move big weights. Because something that I've been talking to my clients about and they're starting to understand more is once you hit a certain weight threshold. So for example, if you're lifting 300 to 400 pounds consistently, you have to fuel it and you have to recover. But if you're just like, let's say you're benching 100 or you're squatting 100 pounds, like you can recover from that pretty easily. So what do you find helps you the most?
Um, I guess, like I said earlier in the with the RPE, that definitely helps a lot. I kind of had to play with my training a little bit, especially over like the past year, to figure out what really worked for me. We tried, me and my coach, we tried benching 3 times a week. That's something I could not do, especially when, every day of the week you're hitting something over 300. That's not, oh my God, dude, it was just wrecking me.
Yeah.
Um, so we found out that I think 2 days a week is that sweet spot for me. Um, and once again, it's the same thing with my deadlifts. I'm not normally hitting a bunch of sets with it. I'm hitting maybe a top set and then like 2 back downs each time I come in. And then same thing with my squat. I'll do that twice a week. And then my bench, my deadlift. That's once a week. It's just what I've learned through training is that what I can recover from. And what was the second part of that question? The
Uh,
fatigue? No, that was the
and
fatigue with like
the injuries, like, and like, how do you avoid like getting burnt out, and how do you avoid like getting hurt?
keeping it staying in that RP 5 to 7 range. I normally don't go anything above that. Sometimes I do, just to kind of keep some heavy weight on my back, keep me used to it. But typically, yeah, I'm in RPE 5, RPE 6, and I don't typically struggle with the weights that I use too much. It's a little bit. I'm dying on the inside. It just doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the main thing. And then like when it comes to injuries, like you can't avoid them all. I've been dealing with minor stuff, normal aches and pains, and then like a couple weeks ago, like my groin, and then I had a hamstring before that. The biggest thing for me was like in the past, I would panic. Like I would feel like some kind of pull somewhere. I'd panic. Oh man, I gotta stop lifting. I gotta stop. I just got, you know what I mean? I gotta take some time off and get my stuff together. But the best thing for me is to continue lifting, um, and slowly add the weight back. Taking the time off, I think, just derails everything. And working around injuries is something that I've, gotten pretty good at too. Because having my crew in here, that I can't miss days. They're not gonna let me. So,
Yeah,
you know.
that's awesome. So, for me personally, like I noticed like the thing that really kills me the most between squatting low bar and benching is I struggle, especially if I'm going towards like a peak or if I'm benching whatever multiple times a week, squatting multiple times a week. It just tears up my elbows and I get like elbow tendonitis. So I have to like throw on the sleeves or use the wraps to help out. Um, do you have any of those issues or no?
Do I have any of those? What?
Like elbow tendonitis. Like have you ever struggled with that?
Yes, yes. Every day of my life. Um, you know, that's a difficult one because, like I said, I have a friend Sean that is works in a PT office, and he kind of helps me out. Every once in a while he'll stretch. I'm sitting here rubbing my elbow, and I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on. And he'll come over here and start, stretching my lat or squeezing on my trap and stuff like that. And it doesn't help right away, but after a few weeks, him stretching here, stretching the neck, and because I like to sleep like this on my side,
Yeah.
so this ends up being tight, and then it just transfer all down. It's not just from lifting; it's a combination of everything.
Right.
Um, it's one of those things where if I know that I'm dealing with something and I know it's gonna it's going to flare up, and I'll take some anti-inflammatories before I lift, and usually that does the trick. I don't take it. I don't need it every time I lift, but for right now, I don't have a whole lot of elbow pain. But it's nice to have somebody like that around.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure like it's also got to suck. So for me, like I live in my garage, and I know like not having air conditioning kills, because if I'm not warmed up instantly, as soon as I start pressing, I start feeling it in my elbows. Or as
Yeah.
soon as I start getting to the heavier squat set, I'll feel it in my elbows, and it just sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But like using the sleeves and stuff definitely helps. Or spending time, what's it called? Doing some like push downs or something like that just to get some more blood to the joint definitely
Mm-hmm.
helps as well.
Yeah, I'll do because I did something to my hamstring like a few months ago, and it was the same thing. Like we lift out here in the garage, and even though I had this little heater, it heats shop up pretty quick. But like the bars are still cold, the benches are still cold, everything's still cold in here, and I learned that I got to spend a little bit more time warming up. I'll hit like 3 sets of 20 on my hamstrings before I actually do anything with them. In colder months, man. Well, you're from Jersey, so man, it gets pretty cold up there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the spring and like the fall time is perfect. You know what I mean? Because it's like whatever. Like usually the bugs are either dead or they haven't woken up yet, so you can just leave the garage door open. The weather's not bad, and everything's nice. And as soon as summer hits, sweating your balls off the whole time. Or if it's winter time, you're freezing.
Yep, I tell these guys because we'll open the garage doors up too. I got a 4-foot fan here that blows air through the whole entire thing, and do we get mosquitoes really bad? And as soon as they hit the door, I'm like, you better spray yourself now, man,
Yeah.
before they get you. So
Yeah, it was funny. Because like my mom is like super supportive of my business, and so she was like, "Oh, you need to get these mosquito nets for the doors," and I was like, "No, it's fine, it's fine." And then I ended up whatever caving and getting them. Lifesaver, dude, because it keeps everything. Yeah, even if like whatever, like leaves and stuff like that from blowing in, it keeps everything out. It's very nice.
yeah, that's actually a good point. I'm better looking than that. That's the biggest thing here is leaves. But I don't know if it's from blowing in or people walking through. I don't.
Yeah, it's always something for sure. All right, so if you're not like prepping for a meet and you're not going super hard, like how do you spend your time like in your off season? Like what styles of training do you do? Do you kind of just have fun? Do you do bodybuilding work, or are you usually just trying to build a foundation throughout the whole year?
I'm just not. The only thing that changes is the frequency normally stays the same, but the intensity will change. Um, I'm not going. Like I said, when I'm not in meet prep, I'm normally in 5 to 7, sometimes 8 RPE range. Um, I do. I don't normally post it on my Instagram, but I do. Um, I do hit like a lot of bodybuilding style movements. Normally, my accessories for me are to build more muscle, um, because a bigger muscle has more potential for strength, for
Yeah,
more strength. And that's my goal as far as my accessories go. And then I carry that the entire off season, if you call it, when I'm not in meet prep.
got you. Yeah, so normally what I'll do is I'll spend like either the entire year doing like a combination like power building stuff, or I'll spend the cold months doing powerlifting and then the warmer months doing bodybuilding stuff. But the last couple of years it's just been all like powerlifting, and I'm definitely taking a beating. So I think I might like going into the summertime switch back to bodybuilding and kind of give like my joints a rest.
Mm,
Because I have these numbers that I want to hit, but again, like I know you're very smart in your approach of RPE, because
mm.
when I worked with my I think it was like 2 coaches ago, not my last one, but the one before that. I would say that it was an RPE 7 every time, but it was definitely like a 10, and I was just hitting 10s every single week.
It's tough, man, because you gotta set your ego aside, and I struggle with it, man. Like that one day, I hit the 675. That was like 40 pounds over, and my coach was like, no, and like you know what I mean. I got like a slap on the wrist,
Yeah,
and he's like, I'm capping you next week, and then I ended up having to hit 635, and I was like, oh man, because like what normally I have a 4-week training block, and I'll start pretty light. It'll be like a RPE 4 or 5 that week, and then each week I'll progress up 10 pounds, and then the next 4 week block will come by, and I'll kind of like start that train all over again, except I'll just add a little bit more weight at the beginning.
Yeah.
I keep like compiling it on one another. But yeah, RPE can be dangerous in the wrong hands for sure. Like mine.
Yeah, I definitely feel you, dude. And it's funny because it's like I'll try to explain the concept of RPE to people who don't really understand it. And like you can tell it'll be like a solid like 8 or 9, and I'm like, okay, like how did that feel? They're like, oh yeah, I can definitely go up, and then they'll fail the next set.
Yeah.
I'm just like, bro, like you have to listen to your body. You can't just like try to be a superhero the whole time.
You know, when you unrack that, you know from the unrack whether it's more difficult when you're hitting like sets of 8. Like if you're only going for a 3 or 4, whether this is about to take your soul or not. But like it is something. It is something I still struggle with to this day. But that's maturing in the gym is like putting your ego aside and understanding that these lighter weights are going to allow you to lift bigger weights if you have the patience to let it help you.
Yeah, one of my friends, Jared, he kind of explained it this way because I told him like I was struggling because he and I used to share a coach. I told him I was struggling with like putting in more effort every week because I started out going so hard, and he basically explained it like what's it called? Like either a rubber band or like a bow and arrow, right? So if you're holding back and you're holding back and you're holding back, once you get to the point where you get that green light, you're gonna shoot, and the numbers you're gonna hit are gonna be insane. And I've
Right.
noticed that like the last couple of blocks that I've done, I would, like you're saying, kind of hold back a little bit in the beginning, but then once I knew it was the last week of the block, I would give myself the green light, and then I would hit like 20 or sometimes like 30 pounds heavier than like the previous week. It definitely pays off. The only issue is like sometimes like the coach is then like, okay, bro, like, are you holding out on me? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, you sandbagging.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the term he used. I had never heard that. He was like, yeah, dude, I think you're sandbagging this whole block. And I was like, what? What does that even mean? And then I figured it out, and I was like, oh, he's just basically saying like I'm being soft and holding back, not training hard.
Yep.
Yeah.
You train by yourself most of the time, right?
Yeah, like sometimes like my dad will be in the garage. Like he'll be there to spot me or whatever, but usually it's by myself. I miss training with the boys. When the pandemic first hit, it was me, my friend Jalen, and my coach Steve, and we would just go at it. It would come over like 4 or 5 times a week, and we'd just be going hard all the time. It was a lot of fun. So
you can't compare it, man. Like I know you gotta be something has to be seriously wrong with you if you're able to lift alone and be honest with yourself about how hard you're pushing yourself. Because I don't know how people do it, honestly. And every once in a while, I will have to come out and depending on like scheduling stuff, I may have to all the guys do it. We might have to come here. We might have to train by ourselves. And typically, we don't hit nowhere near what we were supposed to, simply out of either fear of failure or just no one's holding you accountable.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, man, like I give all of my accomplishments, man. I 100% give to my guys because there's no way I would have made it as far as not that I've made it that far, but like, as far as I did, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I got you.
I'm kind of like tongue-tied myself. I'm like,
no, dude, I completely get everything that you're saying, and it's so true because you can't compare lifting, even if you're whatever in the zone blasting your music. You can't compare lifting by yourself to the hype that all your friends bring, encouraging you, screaming at your face, telling you to wait up, even if you're like the bar speed starts slowing down and everything. I remember there was one time we were doing AMRAPs because it was mostly like bodybuilding work. We were doing an AMRAP set. I was doing overhead press, and I was about to put the bar back, and my friend told me to give him 3 more, and somehow I managed to do it. Makes
that's insane.
no sense.
I've got a pretty cool story. Um, Back in high school, we used to have to run around the track in BFS, and I think we had to do one lap. It was something insane. I think it equaled out to be like a 6 minute mile. So like four laps. What's that end up being like? Is that a minute and a half, minute 20? Whatever it is, whatever the time frame was, it was too fast for me. And we and whenever somebody didn't make the time, we would have to run another one.
Got you.
And dude, somebody missed it like twice. And I was like putting, I was hanging it up, man. I was like, I don't even want to play anymore. Like, and, I was laying on the track and we got like a 30-second rest or something. And, my coach comes up to me and, he was like, you're going to do it because you have to, and you're going to get up right now and you're going to run it and you're going to get it done in the time frame that it needs to be done. And at this point, I think I'm going to die of like heat exhaustion. And I don't know what happened, but they blew the whistle, and like halfway through the lap, I like blacked out, and I ended up finishing first.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I was lying on the ground. He like gave me that like woke me up. It was like, you did it, Cintron. I was like, wow. But then it's like one of those pivotal moments that showed me that you need somebody like that to push you and tell you, show you what you're capable of.
Yeah, definitely. I used to do wrestling I did wrestling for a year in high school. And some of the workouts, like, it's funny because it's just like you're saying, like we were doing, they called it, the dude's name was Krieger. They called it Krieger's 12-minute workout. You would have to do 2-minute intervals of an exercise for as long as you can, right? Doing as many reps as you can, and then you get another rest. Yeah, it was awful.
2 minutes?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it was terrible. And so he had us doing power cleans. So obviously you have to go light, but doing a power clean by itself is already exhausting, and to do it for that long sucks even more. And so it's like if you put the bar down on the ground, everybody had to start over. And so, yeah, exactly. So you would always try to go as hard as you could because you knew if you're the one who put the bar down, everyone was going to be pissed.
Yeah.
Super mad.
They'll get you in the locker room type deal.
Yeah, exactly. And then, what's it called? At the end, like, you would get punished for it too, because it's not just like weightlifting. It's also, you have to do the techniques for wrestling and stuff too. So if you made everybody else do it, they would make you pay for it later on, just like giving you the work. Yeah, see, my boy Franklin says, I remember those next day forums couldn't. Yeah, exactly.
He was in the class with
the wrestling team. Yeah,
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's team building, man. Like you take, powerlifting is a single player sport, but if you make it a team, you can all thrive,
Exactly. And I think
it's like wrestling. It's exactly like wrestling.
Yeah. I have grown to like powerlifting more and more because I feel like, and I know this is like a kind of like a stigma for a long time, but usually when it comes to bodybuilding, it's all about you and how you perform and blah, blah, blah. And it's a very, very selfish sport. And even though ultimately, like you're saying, like powerlifting is about your personal performance, the support is way, way, way more. And people are like a lot more on your side. So for example, like what we're doing right now, I don't even know you, you know what I mean? But we're sitting here talking about something that we both care about. So it's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So speaking of like training partners and everything, how did Old Line Barbell get established? Like, how long has it been around? What kind of got it into existence?
It's a long story, man. We used to be a group under a different name, and we used to train all together at the YMCA, and they had like nothing that accommodated powerlifters at all. And like it's almost like they hated us even being there, even though we made up like half of their population. And you would have like there's like 25 treadmills, and they'd all be loaded up, and all you heard the entire time you were lifting was like shoot, 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 shoot.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like as soon as you like drop the weight on deadlift, it's like bang, and like they all look, every one of them are looking. So yeah, we started back in the Y, like I said, under a different name, and we kind of. We were all friends outside of the gym too, so it's not like we went our separate ways. We kind of like took some. We did go our different ways in the gym, if that makes sense. Like I had a friend that moved to Jersey, another friend that stopped lifting altogether, another friend that moved up to Pittsburgh. We just all split up, and then now, man, Sean, he's my PT friend, and he lives up in Jersey, not too far from you actually, and he drives down every Friday to lift with us. So my cousin, I took some time off from the gym, and he was kind of like dragging me back in. It was like, man, we gotta get you lifting again, and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh man, all right, we gotta go to an actual gym now. And Rehoboth, are you familiar with like Delaware, Rehoboth area?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, they got Rise Fitness down there. It's pretty nice gym, and we started going there. Well, I built this shop about 2 years prior to put a gym in, because of that reason. At the Y, how we were being treated and like looked at.
Yeah.
Man, I was like, man, we need our own spot, man. And well, I mean, started last year. We all started coming here again and training together, and we've got a good probably 6 guys that come here on a regular basis, and then like at times we have like 15 people here.
Nice.
It gets a little crowded, but yeah, we started selling shirts and stuff, and sponsoring powerlifting meets, and we're working on being more involved in the powerlifting community in our area. So we're growing, and just trying to build the strength sports in our area, not just powerlifting, but whatever we can do to be involved.
Nice. That's awesome. And it's so funny because like I've been through similar stuff. So my boy Franklin actually reminds me of that. There was one time after school, we were going to the Retro Fitness, or no, Club Metro, that's what it was. And they like had recently got like a new manager, and you could tell he was such a prick. Like, and then he had like someone who was in charge, and it was this massive roided out meathead. So we're all over there benching, and I see this dude, and I recognize him from school, and he's putting up 265 on the bench. And I'm like, in my head, right? I'm like, there's no way this dude is stronger than me, right? Keep in mind, I could barely hit like 2 plates. But I'm like, let's load up this 265. Like, I'm going to hit this, like, for sure. And I don't think that we had, like, clips on or something. And everybody thought that I was about to get it. So I unrack the bar, boom, slams on me, and then hits one side, other side, and that's
it was a lot quicker than that, though, wasn't it? It was more
exactly, just exactly. And we ended up getting kicked out, and like it was annoying because it's like we're just trying to get there to get stronger. And then even, oh my gosh, everybody knows Planet Fitness sucks, right? Like it's cool if like you're just starting out, you can make crazy gains over there. But I remember before my fiance and I started dating, she hit me up and she wanted to like get in better shape like for her birthday. So she was like, oh, like, would you mind training me? Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So every time that I would even step foot into the Planet Fitness, everybody was staring at me, giving me dirty looks the whole time. And I'm just like, dude, like I haven't even done anything yet. I'm just walking in. Like, just
no, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's supposed to be like a judgment-free zone unless you actually make gains. So the first time like I ever was able to like go to like a private gym or just like lift with my boys, you know what I mean, do something like that, like it was like the best atmosphere like ever. So I think there should be more attention to training like that, because I don't think there is. I think there's a very like, what's it called, I feel like unless you're like a West Side kind of dude or like very like grungy, like in the dungeon putting in work, I feel like it's kind of like the camaraderie isn't there how it used to be. Um,
Mhm.
so like speaking of all that stuff, like how did you find like your training partners, and like what do you look for in a training partner?
A lot of my training partners I went to school with, and just they bring guys in and they become one of us, you know. Um, as far as like what I look for in a training partner, um, I just want somebody like me, you know, that's gonna you know, not wish bad on me, you know, like, and it sounds kind of stupid, but it's hard to find people that um are genuinely trying to hype you up and not, you know, break you down. And as grim as that sounds, I mean, I feel like there's more people out there like that than the latter, you know. So I don't know. I just somebody that's going to show up, and in the days that you know I'm not feeling so hot and feeling that I'm not all there, they will be, and then vice versa. I mean, that's 90% of it.
Yeah,
And then, you know, my gym partners, like I said, they're not just gym partners. Like we talk about more things than just gym stuff. Anything that anything you can think of, man, we can share with one another, and it's complete trust.
definitely. Yeah,
Well, that's another thing, is that when you have a maximum load on your back, and you know, you have to be able to trust the guys around you to be able to catch that weight, and because it really could be, you know, your life, or it could drastically change your life, you know, if that weight, if it goes wrong.
yeah,
So I think you learn to trust the guys around you a lot more.
yeah, definitely. That's and it's like you're saying, like very hard to find because I remember um, in high school it was cool because you lived in with everybody usually that's on the same like athletic team as you, right? And then once you start to do your own thing for college, it kind of gets difficult to find somebody like you're saying that's actually either going to show up or actually want to work hard on the days that they don't feel great and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Um, and that's usually why I would end up like lifting by myself. Like I would say for the majority of my career, like as a like lifter or whatever, like I've been lifting by myself, um, just because it's like easier to like focus on your goals and blah blah blah. But once you find like those few people that can actually push you to go harder, that's like that's what you're just searching for that over and over and over again. So and it seems like you guys have that like over at Old Line.
Mhm.
I'll see like different videos and I'm like, yo, you could tell it's hype in there. Music slaps,
Right.
everybody's screaming, like the atmosphere is awesome for sure.
Definitely, definitely. We're definitely feeding off of one another.
Yeah. So what about you? Do you prefer to train with a group? Do you prefer to train alone? Like what kind of lifter are you?
100% with a group. There's certain things that I can do by myself. Like back when I used to do more like bodybuilding type training. I mean, I think I probably prefer it by myself. Um, Simply because I can put my headphones in and then just pump some shit out. You know, this type of training, it's more, uh, it's a little bit more strategic. You know, and um, you can't do it safely by yourself. If you can, but um, I would much rather these guys catch the weight before it hits those pins. You know, just because I don't know, my grip's so damn wide, I can cut my hand off. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, Definitely with a group. For a reason you already said, like yelling in your face, smacking you on your back, and get it up. You know.
definitely. Yeah, I like it's also really tough, like you're saying, to progress like by yourself. So, for example, for a while I had to do self unracks because my dad was like on a business trip or something, and my boys weren't around. And so it was like, okay, cool. If it's whatever, 200 something pounds, yeah, I can self unrack that, no problem. But then it's like when I'm doing heavy singles and I have to do like RP8, trying to unrack that much weight by yourself is really hard. And then like
Yeah.
you're saying, like, um, if you don't have everything like set up in your rack just right, like you could really like get screwed up. Um,
Hmm.
So I like at least having someone like in the area. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Right.
I agree. I like just like zoning in for sure, especially at the gym. Like, I loved having my headphones blasting the whole time for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so uh, what advice would you give to people either just starting or in the early stages of their powerlifting career? So, for example, me, I've only been doing powerlifting for a couple of years, and I'm already noticing some of the things you talked about. And like, it's cool to see like you've been like where I'm currently going through. So, what advice like would you give? I know it's like super general, but like anything is welcome.
Um, uh, the something that I wish I probably would have done different when I started was like we already talked about, that I'm still dealing with to this day, is putting my ego aside and, like you said, just keep on pulling that rubber band back, not necessarily, pulling it back and letting it go premature. And yeah, you get a little bit of excitement right then and there, but that's going to mess up your next training session. When you go hard and the what you're doing to your central nervous system, you're supposed to, all right, you got to bench in another 2 days. You know what I mean? You just maxed out. Are you going to be recovered in 2 days? So, recovery is the biggest thing. And I would say what has a lot to do with your recovery is how hard you're actually taxing your CNS. So, take it easy. Go through the motions, get that technique sound, and then you can start adding weight. Normally, what I have, when we have a new lifter to come to O-line, we're doing 5x5. Um, we'll start them out depending on what their level is. Like if they've been training for a while, or they somewhat know how to squat, bench, deadlift, we might start them out with like 135, and then we'll have them squatting 3 days a week, benching twice a week, deadlifting twice a week, and then just add on 5 pounds every time you come in. And you would do that, and you might be able to get up to 5x5 of 405 before you actually fail. That's what I did when I first started powerlifting. I did the 5x5s. Are you familiar with that? Like strong lifts?
Yeah.
That's what I did, and that's what I would suggest any type of beginner trying to get into barbell training to do.
For those who don't know what that is, can you kind of explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so it's you're coming in and you're doing a SPD day 3 days a week. You're doing some type of variation of SPD. Um, so it's basically like, let's just use Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for example. Um, Monday, you'll come in, squat, bench, deadlift. Wednesday, you'll come in, you'll squat, do an overhead press, and RDLs. And then Friday, you do the same workout as Monday, and then you keep alternating weeks, right? Well, every time you come in, you're adding 5 pounds to your lift. If you're a complete beginner, you should be starting off with an empty bar. But if you have a little bit of experience, you can start off with like 135 or two. It depends what your level is, really.
Yeah.
Something that you can control and hit with perfect rep or perfect form.
Yeah.
And then you keep on adding 5 pounds each time you come in until you essentially fail. And then after you've exhausted all of those newbie gains, you can then transfer over to like a periodization style training.
Nice.
That's more of a linear type style, and then you can transfer to periodization.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, I definitely agree with all the stuff that you've been saying so far, especially kind of like putting the ego at the door, because that's every single time I get hurt, it's been because I'm trying to handle a load I have no business handling. So I remember, again, like I was telling you, supposed to be an RPE 7, definitely a 10, and I was doing it with pause deadlifts. And then on top of that, I was doing it with the deadlift bar and bumper plates. So the bar was like super like whippy.
Mm-hmm.
I like got like halfway through the set, and then I just felt like my lat like lock up, and I was like, "Whoa, like that's not supposed to feel like that." And then I like couldn't even get out of bed like for the next 2 days. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then I'm trying to think of other injuries that I've had, but it's all been because of like not training smart. And I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of these injuries can be avoided, just like you're saying, by putting your ego at the door. And like
Mm-hmm.
everybody's seen all the what's it called, like the horror story, like videos of people lifting with like Larry wheels and blah blah blah. And it's always because they're trying to do loads they shouldn't be doing. Um,
Yeah.
and we can talk about whatever like the sciencey stuff where it's like the tendon strength isn't going to develop as fast as the muscles and this and that. But I think like you summed it up perfectly. As long as you lift smart, like you're gonna do very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least, if you do, because sometimes they're not avoidable. Sometimes things just happen and or they're unforeseen. Um, but yeah, like you said, in general, I mean, you can avoid a lot of those injuries just by not going balls to the wall. And it's good to go balls. Usually we save those for meet day. And so if we're doing a meet every 6 months, we're only risking it twice out of the year, 2 days out of the year.
Yeah. So speaking of meets and stuff, like I kind of asked you this a little bit when we were like messaging back and forth, but what kind of competitions do you do? Like what federations, blah blah blah, what style of lifting? A lot of people. So for example, like I'm very new to powerlifting, so I didn't know that there was like raw and wraps and raw with wraps, and then what's it called? Like using what's it called? Like gear, like benching shirts and stuff like that.
Mm.
If you could just talk about like the style of powerlifting that you do, and then like what that means for each one. Sorry, give me 1 second. I got to give this to my fiance really quick. All right, I'm back. Okay.
Um, oh yeah, the style of training that I do, or the type of competitions I do, I guess. So normally when you do a competition, it's broken up by weight class, age, and what type of equipment you're using. And depending on what federation you're um, competing in, I mean, they're all a little bit different. Well, if you were to do, like, I highly recommend doing, if you're going to do a meet, doing an RPS meet, just because that's what I was first introduced to in powerlifting was RPS. Um, they're a little more lenient on some of their lifts. Like, they're not going to be super critical on stupid things like what type of underwear you're wearing. A lot of them, like a lot of those federations, man, I had to go in there wearing whitey tighties just because. I don't get it. Why do you care what type of underwear I'm wearing? I don't. But
Yeah.
anyway, um, but yeah, I normally like 99% of my training is in sleeves. Um, and then when I compete, I lift in wraps. Um, and essentially, what a wrap is, it's a very very tight sleeve. Um, and a lot of USAPL guys use they'll put on sleeves that are like two sizes too small. That essentially gives you that sensation of a wrap. It's not quite as extreme as a wrap, but um, it's the same principle. You have something very tight around your knee, and which allows you to use a little bit more weight. It's a little bit more support. Um, so that being said, I prefer to be able to take um, my support off my knees quickly, when I want to, because it's not comfortable. So I compete in wraps. I've never done a meet in sleeves. However, like I said, 99% of my training's in sleeves. I don't normally get in wraps until like 8, maybe 10 weeks out from a meet. It does change your squat up a little bit. You squat a little bit different, but not too much. Now, as far as geared lifting, I'm not really too familiar with that. I haven't delved into that world yet. I've always told myself once I total 2,000 that maybe I'll start getting into that because like I mean, I don't know, man. It's just I like to be well rounded as far as like powerlifting goes, and I just haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah, I'm not like again, like I've never officially competed. I'm not super experienced or blah blah blah. But I also feel like um, a lot of injuries could be avoided if people didn't use some of this stuff. You know what I mean? Because it's like a bench shirt's going to help you significantly. A squat or like a deadlift suit is going to help you significantly, and I feel like that kind of leads to what we're talking about with like the ego lifting. So for me, I've actually never squatted with knee sleeves before. I thought about
No
trying
knee
it,
sleeves.
yeah, but like I've never what's it called? I've never had to use them. Like my knees have always felt fine, so it's interesting. When
Yeah.
did you start using sleeves, or have you always used them?
No, I didn't always use them. I started using them maybe it was a while ago, like 7 years ago, I think. I started using them because I learned what they do. They there's fluid in your knee, and like it's kind of works as like the oil to an engine. You know, you want to keep the engine warm. You want to keep the oil warm and well lubricated. So you wear your knee sleeves um, to keep your knees warm and, like I said, well lubricated.
Yeah,
Um, they do offer some support. I don't wear very tight sleeves, so they don't add. If they add anything to my squat, it's like 10 pounds. I don't know.
yeah,
But anything that can increase the longevity of my training career, I'm going to utilize, like wrist straps, elbow sleeves, knee sleeves, a belt, stuff like that.
yeah,
I will
definitely.
say, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I started incorporating like elbow sleeves more because I've been struggling with the elbow tendonitis, and it definitely helps a lot.
hmm If one thing I will say is that um, tr- competing in reps has 100% um, added weight to my roll squat. Um, I don't know what it is, man. When I get off the platform and I just hit something in reps, I got it in my mind now. I know it's like mostly mental, but like I got it in my mind now that, dude, I can hit that. I can hit that roll. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like I've had it on my back. I can squat that, and I end up doing it. So I would, I don't pressure anyone to do anything, but definitely think about um, picking up a pair of knee sleeves. And I'll send you a pair of wraps. I have a couple here. They're fun, at the very least.
That's awesome. So for is there like a or I don't know, I don't know anything about wraps, but like is there like a certain ratio of how it helps? Like do wraps add a certain amount to your lift, or does it all depend?
It does depend, depending on how tight you wrap them. They can add nothing. They can add 20 pounds. They can add 120 pounds to some. If you got some elite level wrap squatter that, very rarely, I don't think some people say that you can get like 120 pounds out of them. Some people say you can get like 50. There's no direct ratio. Everyone's a little different.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, I do want to be cognizant of your time. So my last question for you was, what are your personal lifting goals, and also like what are the goals for Old Line like in this upcoming year?
Um, well, for myself, I've got a pretty big meet coming up in July. I signed up. My cousin talked me into signing up for it, man. I like, I barely qualified for it. I think the qualifying Wilks was like 475. I had a 479.
And can
And
you explain what like books is for those who don't know?
Wilks, it's some type of equation that is meant to level the playing field for pound lifters, like so that you'd be able to compare a 300-pound lifter to a 120-pound lifter.
Gotcha.
Um, so if me and you were two different weight classes, we would still be able to be compared based off of Wilks.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I barely qualified as far as that. as far as bulks goes, and he's like, "Hey, you got to do it, man. You know, screw it. You know, you only live once." And I signed up, and we've got a bunch of. They keep announcing like all these big name powerlifters that are going to be there, and I'm like, "Oh man, we're just all fighting for fourth place at this point." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a blast. I think it's going to be a good experience, if anything. You know. But as far as old line goes, man, I'd like to continue doing what we're doing, and you know, basically we're a team, and uh, I just want to stick together. That's all. And if we keep growing, great. You know, bring it on.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta come up there and visit sometime because again, like the hype that I see, all the plates being moved, it's crazy, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys are doing really
Old line automatically adds 50 pounds to your squat.
Yo, I need that out there then.
We can all use 50 pounds.
Exactly.
Yep.
Nice. All right. Typically, I mean, I should ask this before, but typically I ask if anybody has like questions just to shoot up some comments. Other than that, is there anything else you want to talk about? Do you have any questions for me or anything like that?
I mean, look, how did you start your business? I know you do coaching and do you do like diet plans and stuff like that, or what's that all? What's
So
that
I'm
all about?
looking to establish myself as like a, I guess like S&C coach. I don't like using that term because I specialize in powerlifting and bodybuilding stuff. So it's like if I was to be put on like a football team or something like that, it's like, yeah, I could help them get strong, but I could help them get strong in the weight room, not necessarily strictly like for their sport.
Mm.
I started my own business. So I actually went to school for music education, right? But I've been lifting since I was like 16, and I became obsessed with figuring everything out, like how to get jacked, how to get strong, blah, blah, blah. And so coming out of college, I had a substitute teaching job, but dude, I hated it. I hated it so much because I would have to drive over an hour to work, essentially babysit for 6 hours a day, drive over an hour back. And then by the time I was done with my day, it was like 6 or 7 p.m. And I barely had time to like lift and take care of myself. So I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. But like also job stability benefits are pretty good. So I kept on applying for different jobs, but I just couldn't get one. But I'm super blessed because my fiance's uncle owns his own private studio in Hopewell, New Jersey. So I did like an internship with him for a little bit. And he told me like if I got my certification, this and that, that he would like bring me on as like one of his like on staff like trainers. And that's where I kind of learned like the structure of like a small business, like running your own training business by yourself because of everything that he's been doing. He's been training for like over 30 years. But then the pandemic hit and the studio closed down and then I lost my job. And then I also got denied unemployment because I'm a private contractor. I know there's like a way that you can like get past that, blah, blah, blah. But I was like super pissed. I'm like, what's the point of me paying all these taxes if I'm not going to get like unemployment when I really need it? So that's when I started doing my own thing, like starting up my own training business. And then that's where everything picked up from there. And it really kicked off when I lost a lot of weight because everyone thought like I've been lifting for forever. You know what I mean? But like everybody only cares like if you're jacked. You know, they don't like they see the numbers. Yeah, that's impressive. But once they see like you know how to get shredded, like that's when they'll actually start paying attention. So people started coming to me for training and that kind of stuff too. I don't really do diet plans. I have like my coach for that. But like I've learned a lot about it over the last couple of years to the point where like if I needed to, I could definitely do it by myself. A lot of stuff's like not as hard as I thought it was. But I'm like a little old school in my approach, like eat clean, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. So that's how everything got started, and now I'm just trying to grow my business, like get my brand out there, but also bring attention to people like you guys, because it's like I see a lot of people trying to do something similar or like the same thing, and it's like you talked about, like there's so many people that just want to see you fail, and then also like you're not going to get the support that you want until you've already done what you're trying to do. Like it shouldn't be like that, you know what I mean? It sucks. So that's why I feel like some people probably look at me weird, but like I'm always trying to show love to people, like always comment on their stuff, say like good job, like this and that, because like there's just like in my opinion, there's no reason for all the hate. But then on top of that, like I would want somebody to support me like that, if I was in that position, or if I was just starting out, like that kind of thing. So that's why I've been doing so many of these the IG live interviews. And it's like, yeah, it's cool because I do want to bring more value to my products by having other what I consider like specialists. So for example, like I would consider you a powerlifting specialist to my channel, so that way people who don't know a lot about this can learn more.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's dope. And I tune in, I watch it, and it's always interesting. I love seeing, like, I call it like my gym cousins, kind of like the CrossFitters and the calisthenics, and you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's cool hearing different philosophies and what's different and what's the same, and it's fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I love like your simple approach. Like a lot of people, they swear by accommodating resistance, or they'll swear by this product and this specialty bar and blah blah blah. But like, dude, you built a 700-pound squat just by keeping it simple, and like that
Mm.
should kind of like give people hope that like, hey, if I stick to this, like I can do great things as well. So it's pretty cool.
Gaining some weight helps too.
Yeah, that's so true.
Dude, I so I've been I told you that I was starting to, count my calories again and stuff. And the like I'm like 13 days in of counting everything that I put in my body. And they just released this thing, and I'm not like doing a cut or a bulk or anything like that. I'm just trying to keep my body weight the same and then like go from there. Um well, they just announced that you won't in this competition that I have coming up, that you're not allowed to go down a weight class. Excuse me.
Interesting.
So I was like, damn it, dude. I have like um I don't know. It's so easy to find excuses to like not do it. You know what I mean? Because I've been talking about, at least getting down to like 220 for like the longest time, and I'm sorry, bro. I guess it's not happening. It's not happening until after this week. Because I signed up 242. I'm like 233 right now, and I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna have to put on some weight before I lose it again. I don't know.
I gotcha.
But I gotta be competitive. That's what powerlifting is. You gotta you know bring as much weight to the table as possible.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I think this question is for you. Best tools to squat 700 pounds. So
Best tools.
yeah, so I guess like similar to what we talked about, like what do you think were the things that they got you there? Like what either accessories or exercises or like training styles, blah blah blah.
Having a having a big ass back. Seriously. I think my entire life, man, I've been made fun of for having small calves. I was born with small calves. I have terrible insertions and um, mindset. What do you what do you think it takes? What does it take to get to 700 pounds? The mindset. Um. Anyway, yeah, yeah, all through like high school and stuff, I would train my squat, and I think just having that, keep playing that in my head, the whole chicken leg joke thing. You know what I mean? That's what drove me to squat more. Um, and honestly, I think that has a lot to do with it. It's just I'm not gonna have no chicken legs anymore. I still have fucking chicken legs, but it's like, but I read all these articles, man. It's like, man, because that's kind of what got me into powerlifting, was like, the best way to naturally put on size is to get stronger, and well, that's what I wanted to do, and then I kind of started leaning more towards the strength aspect of it. But anyway, yeah, I thought that I would get the 500-pound squat and I'd have big legs. And then I was like, all right, maybe it's 600. And then I got the 600 and I'm like, damn it. And I'm at 700 and I guess it'll never happen, but whatever, man. They still support, you know, they
Yeah.
still support the weight. I think it has a lot to do with my back though. Like having a strong back, being able to create that shelf to hold the bar, and then being able to stay upright with it. Too many people I see that, I mean, you just see them round it like this, and there's no way you can press any kind of substantial weight like that. And if you do, I mean, you got a back made out of titanium, dude. I don't know how you're doing it.
Yeah.
So,
That's so funny because it's literally the same thing for me. Like, I guess like the calf gene pool, like must have skipped, and I got like my grandma's calves because my is, but like my dad's calves are freaking like oak trees, like it's nuts. So I guess
yeah.
it must be like a every other generation, but same thing.
Well, which one's Puerto Rican?
My dad.
Your dad's Puerto Rican. That's okay. So I thought it was more like a Puerto Rican thing where like they had smaller calves. I thought that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Well, so it's
I don't know.
weird because my dad's calves are massive and jacked. And then my mom's calves are also pretty big and muscular. But then like for my dad's parents, his mom's calves are tiny. His dad's calves are like big. So I don't know. It's very strange. But yeah, especially a lot of Hispanics in general have pretty jacked calves. But I
Yeah.
guess like just not for me. But
Yeah, we can run kind of fast though.
yeah, exactly.
You know?
But that's also like why I really started training the squat harder is the same thing. People making fun of my calves the whole time. But then I kind of realized like later on, like what you're saying, like, okay, whatever, I squatted 405, I squatted this much, blah, blah, blah. Now my thighs are big, but my calves are still small. And it's like all neurological adaptations. It's not necessarily like, what's it called? Like I can build up my calves doing this and that. Those calf trainers
Mhm.
suck. LOL.
Black people cast.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true though.
Dude, a lot of my black friends, their calves are freaking massive. Crazy. Yeah, it's awesome.
I will also, but back to the squatting thing. I ran this before I got into powerlifting. I ran this 30 week or 30 day challenge. It was like a squat challenge where you squat every day.
Oh, I don't know if he made it, but I saw like Mike Rashid do that. I don't know if you know who that is, but I know
Mm.
what you're talking about.
But it was like Russian or I don't even remember, dude. It was like um I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I just all right, I'm gonna squat every day because I want to get really good at squatting. And I honestly think that contributed a lot to my squat because I squatted every day for a week or for a month, and I would wide stance squats, narrow stance squats, I would front squat, I would safety squat for a squat, and then you in that time frame you really feel like you know how to squat after that. And then I only did it for a month, so I was like, yeah, that's enough of that. And then I went to the 5x5 3 days a week thing. Um, and by that time, man, I mean 3 days a week was nothing.
Have you ever
What?
tried the small L programs? Have you?
I've heard about that. What is that about?
So the small L, there's what's it called? Yeah, exactly. Dan Skippy.
That's a bench. That's a bench program, isn't it?
So you can you can use it for either bench or for squat. I've done small L junior, which is when you're squatting 4 times a week. I think it boosted my squat by like 30 pounds. It's basically a month long, like you're saying, and then you're squatting 4 times a week. Um, it fried me though. It was really hard. And then of course, like I'm stupid, and I thought that you can use the Small Up Junior program for deadlifts. It didn't go well, dude.
No.
Deadlifting 4 times a week was awful.
Yeah, 1 week's hard enough, man.
Yeah, but yeah, you
But
can.
yeah, I think I've heard a lot of guys using it for bench, so
Yeah,
you can apply it to bench and squat, right?
yeah,
Okay, you might have said that. I might have missed that part. But what the heck? He's talking about his squat.
yeah. Okay.
I'm reading the comments.
Yeah, I'm guilty of like I'll either read them and then like want to respond, but then I forget to later on. So that's why I tell people to ask questions like earlier. Um, Yeah, small up is terrible. I know my current coach, I also believe, has done not the junior, but I think the small up senior whatever program, and it's crazy, dude. All the people like Russian programs or like what's it called? More like whatever Eastern side, absolutely crazy. Yeah,
Hey, well, that's what they say. You want to get good at something, do it more often.
yeah, definitely.
So, I'm proof that, man. Like, you can squat every day for 30 days, and you can live the story. And I mean, I would work up. I can't remember what my max was back then. I imagine it was like somewhere around like 400, 450, and I was hitting at least 365 every day.
That's crazy.
Um, yeah, so it's doable, and it definitely will suck, but it will. You will definitely get more familiar with the squat. I don't think it's I'm not advocating do that, but I am advocating for do it more often. Squat 3 days a week, definitely, especially if you're a sub 400-pound squatter.
Yeah, for sure. Nice. Yeah, and I think like some of those programs are really good for overreaching, but like you're saying, only to do every once in a while and only if you're like a very experienced lifter. Because I can't imagine trying to squat whatever 4 times a week if I don't even know how to do the movement properly. Like I'd set
Exactly.
myself up like instantly.
And that's another thing. You just reminded me, like you've got a lot of people trying to add in all these different variations, and they don't even know how to squat. Like you got them over here doing pull squats and box squats and uh, whatever the hell kind of different squat, and then they don't even know how to squat. Why are you going to complicate something? You want to be able to simplify it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Maybe even break it down into multiple or two different movements. You know what I mean? If they squat high at first, let them squat high. I mean, that depth comes over time. I squat high.
So, do you like train a lot of people? Like, do you find yourself coaching a lot of people, or is it not like super
Um,
often?
I help the best I can. Like I'm not the most knowledgeable guy about training and training techniques and stuff, but I do I know what I know and I know what works for me. And I can help other people figure out what works for them.
Yeah.
Um, or I can at least take them through the avenues that I went, and if we find a good end, then we're gonna try another avenue. So I mean, there's a couple guys in the gym that I help, but I wouldn't say I coach. I don't accept money from any of the people that lift with me. I just want them to show up. It's not like that for me, but it's something that I would like to get into more, maybe after powerlifting.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've reached a high enough level um, to be able to coach who I want to coach. Like I do enjoy coaching beginners and stuff like that, but um, I want to achieve a certain level before I feel comfortable teaching someone else, if that makes sense.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah, and sometimes like I struggle with that too. Especially because it's like I'm still learning myself. Like I still
Mhm.
have coaches that are teaching me different things. So then you start to get in your head where it's like, okay, well, like then what makes me qualified to help somebody else out, you know?
Right.
But I also feel like this is where it gets complicated because some people say like if you're in it, like if you're an athlete, sometimes they make the worst coaches. Usually it's people who like aren't necessarily doing it, but I hate that mentality. Like I feel like those people do make good coaches because they've been through it themselves and they can actually
Mhm.
get through it. And so that's why I get like very frustrated, and I feel like that kind of it sets people like us apart from like other typical like big box trainers or something like that because it's like okay, well, have they ever competed before? If you want to compete yourself, would they be able to program for you? Would they be able to handle you throughout the whole day, help you choose your numbers that you're going through? Like
Mhm.
there's a lot of that stuff where it's like you can't read it from a textbook. Like you got to go through it yourself. So I completely get you on that.
And this is something we talk about a lot. Like, are you going to allow someone to coach you that, like you mentioned something about like your physique. You completely transformed your physique, and then people started listening to you. Do you think those same people would listen to you, if you didn't look the way you did? Like,
Definitely not.
it's because of the physique. Well, like it's the same with powerlifting. Like, um, you know, you haven't squatted 315. Like, why are you trying to tell me how to squat? And you may be giving me good information, and it may be what I need to hear, but like, and maybe it's my ego, but I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. I cannot take your advice. Like, you
Right.
have not done anything. And I don't mean that in any kind of negative way towards, anyone, but it's difficult to listen to someone that hasn't achieved really that much, if that makes sense. Why do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
having someone that now, and then there's the other end of things, like you said, like sometimes the best lifters make the worst coach and vice versa. Um, but a lot of like coaches in the NFL and stuff, man, they're former players and they've been through it. Maybe they didn't start, but they at least, played and they've been through some stuff.
Right.
I
Yeah,
don't have to have the strongest coach in the world. I don't need Joe Sullivan coaching me or nothing like that. But I think I would want someone more experienced than me.
definitely. And like that, honestly, that's how I ended up choosing most of my coaches. So they do commenting Toby. He actually used to be my coach back in the day, and I asked him to be my coach because I went to one of his powerlifting meets, and like one of his best lifts is like 750 for two, 750 for two deadlift in the gym, right? And I'm like, holy crap! Like in order for yeah, he's a big dude, but in order for him to achieve a number like that, he has to know what he's doing.
Right.
Mm. And so that's why like I hit him up to be my coach in the first place. And then same thing like for my next coach after that, the one who helped me get shredded, he was first place overall in a men's physique competition. So I'm like, okay, like this dude knows how to get shredded, so he's gonna help me get shredded, and then
Hmm.
so forth. So every single coach that I've had, I've asked them because of yes, their achievements, but also because like I know that they know what they're doing and they're gonna be able to help me get to where I need to go. For
Hmm.
like just like and like I feel like so many people will buy these cookie cutter programs because it's under some Instagram influencer's name. You know what I mean? And in my opinion,
Yep.
like, why would you do that? Because you're not going to get the individualized attention that you need. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So again, I agree, and I feel you on all that stuff for sure.
And then there's the other end of it too, where it's like you may have somebody that's completely shredded, but they've never been fat. So it's like,
Yeah.
how can I take your advice? And I mean, you've done nothing to get to. That's what you want to see. You want to see the progress, not necessarily, because there's people that are just born strong. Like they're just freaks of nature. They were benching 405 in high school, and now they're out here benching 600. It's like, does he know how to bench, or
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
that's a difficult one. It's difficult to choose a coach in today's day and age because it seems like anyone can be one
Right.
and claim that title.
Yeah. And I think I try not to be like just the dude that reads books. Like I try to whatever put everything into practice, and I feel like that's what makes me like a better coach than most people because I've spent so much time figuring everything out and then figuring it out how to actually do it. So for example, it's like yeah, like genetically and like leverage wise, I'm built to bench and I can bench a decent amount of weight, but I've also spent years getting the form locked in, figuring out what grip works, figuring out leg drive, figuring out how to keep a tight upper back, all that other stuff. Same thing for
Mhm.
you. Like, yeah, obviously you're built to squat, but it's like you also had to figure all that stuff out, figure out what works for you in order to get something like that impressive, for sure.
Right. You definitely don't get there on accident.
Yeah,
And like you said, like we're both saying, it's like it's the progression that you want to see. That's really what tells how good of a coach you're hiring is the progression that they've made.
yeah. And sometimes like I I try not to get too big headed. Like if I have clients to make progress, because I understand that newbie gains is a real thing and muscle memory is a real thing. Um, but like also like to help somebody go from whatever squatting just the bar to like mid 300s, like that also shows that like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, you're like, see, man, I told you, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it, dude, it's so funny. One of my clients, like he likes the idea of benching 2 plates, but then when things start to get heavy, he's like, "Oh man, like I don't know if I'm ever gonna hit 2 plates." And he hit like 205 for an dude easy single the other day, and he's like, "Holy crap, I'm almost there." I'm like, "Yeah, I told you a year ago you're gonna hit 2 plates, and now you're almost there."
Yep.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man. That must be a good feeling.
yeah, for
Like
sure.
I said, man, I'd like to get into coaching, man. I respect what you do. You're killing it, man.
Appreciate it. And that's why like I love that you guys have Old Line Barbell because like you can turn something that's your passion into like a way that you whatever like how you make a living, you know what I mean? If you're good at it and you're passionate about it, like it can definitely happen.
Yeah,
I think you guys are definitely like going in the right direction, and again like that's why I wanted to talk to you about all this stuff because like obviously you know what you're doing, you love it, and so it's cool to talk about other people like to have that same drive.
yeah, same. Likewise, man.
Appreciate it. Cool.
Can you see the steam off
Dude,
my breath?
I was looking like as you're reading, I was like, yo, it must be freezing in there.
Dude, it's like I said, man, I got this heater off, and I was like, getting a little chilly out here.
Mhm.
I'm good. I can tolerate the cold better than some.
Yeah, it's hilarious because some of my clients, especially on the really cold days, they're like, there's got to be a way for somebody to invent like a heated like barbell. And in my head, I'm thinking like that's a cool idea, but then I'm like, okay, well, based off of the materials that you would have to use, there's no way it's going to support any kind of weight.
Right.
I was
Yeah,
like,
it'd be like hollow in the center with like some kind of I don't even know. What would you I don't know about that one.
yeah.
That's weird. I got this thing. Let me show you this. Oh man, if I don't hang up.
Yeah, I'm still here.
So this is what I have.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So we put the bar like set up right here in front of it.
Mhm.
And they had it like I came in here and they had the heater on and everything. And had the bar sitting in front of there. I guess they had it sitting there too long. Dude, you could fry eggs on that thing.
Dude, that's
And
hilarious.
you gotta set that off to the side and let that thing cool down, man. That's no way. And I mean, this kid was getting ready to squat with it. I'm like, dude, he's gonna burn his back, and you
Just
know,
burn, yeah, burn his back. Yo,
it was not safe. It was not safe.
that's also
But
as funny as that is. That's also really, really smart. Like I have like a little baby, whatever, like space heater. I never would have thought to put the bar in front of it and just let it run for a little bit to heat it up.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it takes a little while, but you just gotta keep an eye on that thing because it'll turn into like a lifesaver, dude.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Cool. All right, sir. Well, I'm gonna get ready to have some dinner, and I haven't eaten in a little while. But seriously, I really, really appreciate you for coming on. I've been looking forward to this for the last whenever we established it, like three weeks ago, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I appreciate you sharing your time, your expertise, all your knowledge, and we should do this again sometime. And also,
definitely.
I'll see if I can trip up there when things get warm. Vice versa. If you guys want to come down and absolutely destroy me in any like bench competition, deadlift competition, let me know.
Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate you sitting down and talking with me. Been fun.
All right, sir. Enjoy the
I'll
rest of
be
your day.
watching, man.
All right, I'll see you.
See ya.